know, right?
We upset
You're
the
usually
seating
over here.
arrangement
Who's this
tonight,
one?
so.
I know, I want to see behind me. This is
Okay, we're all
Weird.
here. It's 7:01,
You're supposed to be on.
so I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lynn Edwards. I'm the chair. We're gonna do a roll call first because we do hybrid meetings. We want to make sure everyone online knows who's here as well. John Hogan?
Here.
Alex?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
Bettina?
here,
Emily?
Here.
Jen?
Here.
Kristen?
here,
Laura?
here.
Richard? You're muted, Richard.
Here.
Thank you. And Sonia.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. I don't have much in the way of a welcome. I think we all saw some email going around, so we are short a board member, but we'll talk about that at the election item tonight. Do we have any changes for the agenda?
Oh,
Yeah.
not for the agenda, sorry.
Okay. All right. No changes. The agenda stands as is without objection. So we'll go right to communication from the public on non-agenda items. Does anyone here in person have a non-agenda comment to make? No? Online? Kathleen Lippett, sorry, I see you. Kathleen, welcome. Oh, and Ramon, I'll take you next, okay? Yeah, Kathleen, go ahead, you're muted.
There.
You
Can
have
you hear
3
me?
minutes. Yes, you have
Okay.
3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to address several items tonight. I don't know how many of you saw a UT article that was basically celebrating, glamorizing the first marijuana consumption lounge in the county. And it was troubling because they do not provide the public with both sides. They quoted the people who own the place and the attorneys that represent marijuana shops, etc. And they glossed over the fact that the residents in National City were not happy to be the first to be recognized as the first pot lounge in the city. And it raises the risk of increased DUIs and increased, it compromises decades of secondhand smoke protections. And so it's really problematic. And I am hoping that our city does not go down the same road, but that remains to be seen. The other is the issue of billboards that are frequently dot our highways, etc. And the advertising that's on them. The rule is that you are not supposed to target anybody unless they're over 21. And they never demonstrate that the prevalence of those passing by these billboards are over 21. They simply put them up, and if no one complains, they get left there. There has to be at least 71.6% of the audience has to be over 21. And that just is not provable when it's on a highway. But we also have them dotted throughout the city. And it normalizes the use of marijuana especially by children. And the last issue I wanted to address is homelessness. And it was good that we tried to balance stigmatizing homelessness by being more compassionate. However, there's a limit. There needs to be a distinction between misplaced compassion and true compassion. And it's not compassionate to allow these people to remain on the street, either to them or to the public. And so the state has almost 800,000 homeless in the state. The city keeps saying year after year that they're working on it and they set up agencies to address it, but they never ask for outcome data, and they need to do that. They need to tell them, we ask, because they come back to the city for more and more money. So they need to be required to provide a report of how they've lowered the numbers, not how many more they are serving. And it's a risk to our public health and fires, because they sometimes set fires to keep warm, or maybe out of boredom. Sometimes some of them are individuals with personality disorders, and OCD, and fire sometimes is a fascination for them. Pyromania is also. So
Excuse me,
anyway,
Kathleen, your
I thank
time
you.
is up.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much,
That's all.
Kathleen. Ramon, Uribe, you are up.
Hey everyone, good evening. I guess it's a little late, but happy New Year's. I just wanted to ask if we can be added to the agenda for next month's meeting. I did want to let y'all know that the City of San Diego and Caltrans did open up the Bike Master Plan Update interactive feedback map, and we would like to share that with y'all. Maybe even present. My colleague Ozzy Meneses can go and present, and I can share that link with you, Lynn, through this Zoom meeting, and I can also email it to you if you all need it.
Yeah, it's not going to be in the chat, so please email it to me, Ramon, and I will email it out to the board.
All right, sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any other non-agenda comments tonight? No, then we're going to move on to our representative reports. And we're going to start off. I'm going to let Robin introduce herself. We have a new representative for District 79, State Assembly Member Lachey Sharp Collins' office. Matthew Gordon joined us last night at our community council meeting. I think some of us remember Matthew from 10 years ago when he was an intern with Myrtle Cole. And he is. So Robin, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robin Todd. I am also a field director under Matthew, who is my district director, field representative for the 79th district under the director of Dr. Lachey Sharp Collins. And she is from the community, and she's here to help in anything that you guys need. Just email the office and we can set up a meeting with her. If you guys want to come to the district office, we're located in La Mesa at the 4700 block of Spring Street. Ms. Lynn, you have our office number?
I have the phone number that I got from Matthew last night, which I will.
So either email Matthew and he can CC me, or we can set up a meeting with our assembly member. But I thank you for, letting me join for a minute or two. I'm a little tired, but I'm okay. But I welcome, anyone to send us an email and let us know what your concerns are. And we can try to help the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. We look forward to seeing you again.
Oh, you will see me.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Next up is Kate Needham Cano. She is our community representative and the Military and Veterans Liaison for Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs' office. Hi, Kate. Nice to see you again.
Hi, so good to see all of you. Personal news update is promoted on January 1st to senior community rep and senior military liaison, which doesn't mean anything to any of you, but I thought I would share. As far as our office, we're in the 119th Congress right now, and Congresswoman Jacobs was sworn in for her third term, and she's really excited. She's got 2 more years representing CA 51, so that's fantastic for all of us. She just introduced a bipartisan resolution that's going to allow proxy voting for members of Congress who are new parents. So similarly to when we were in quarantine for COVID and Congress members were able to vote by proxy that way. It's to make Congress more accessible and inclusive to young women and young parents. Locally, Very excited. We had our largest return, over $23 million to constituents last year, and helping over 1,400 San Diegans with federal agencies. Congresswoman Jacobs also brought home $406 million in federal funds to upgrade and repair the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant. So that's to address that Tijuana River Valley crisis that's been ongoing for a really long time. So that's fantastic news, as well as 82 million in federal funds for San Diego nonprofits. So we're looking to continue to support the community. We're looking forward to a wonderful year. And the last piece of business is our office is relocating. So our local office in Kearney Mesa will be relocating within the next 60 days or so. And as soon as we have a new address, I will be sure to share that with all of you. And excuse me. And it will also be posted on our website for review.
Okay, any questions for Kate? Raise your hand. No questions? Good. Okay, thanks very much, Kate. Appreciate it. Roberto Marin from District 9, Council Member Sean Elo Rivera's office. Roberto?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Roberto Marin. Nice to see everyone. Happy New Year. New year, same me and same rep, unfortunately. So you're stuck with me. First off, I wanted to give a special shout out to Lynn, Bettina, and John and Richard for the continued work that they're doing with StreamView. I know it's a nightmare, trust me, it's a nightmare for me too. And so we'll be doing educational pieces also to the mayor's office as well. We're also we're trying to be more robust in our dumpster day. So we're going to be having 4 instead of usually 1 or 2 in a year to curb the illegal dumping. So we're happy to promote that, and we've got the dumpster secured and approved already for the year. So that is awesome news. The second thing I want to talk about in Redwood Village specifically is the Choice Parkway. So I know I mentioned it yesterday at the Rolando Park Redwood Village meeting, but we are looking at ways to curb the big rigs and folks parking there. One of the ideas that has been floated, and we are on board, is red curbing parts of Choya's Parkway to eliminate that. I talked to Officer Cummings after or during the meeting yesterday outside, and he mentioned to me that it'd be a lot easier for PD to tow because they're parked in red, and it's obviously a safety concern. So I know, and it usually instead of 72 hours, I was told it's 24 hours. So it's a lot quicker turnaround than the 3 days. So hopefully we should be looking at that completed in the next, I believe, 60 to 90 days. We're trying to get that a little quicker, given the circumstances that Choice Parkway is at this point. I know some folks had some issues about Leo Street and the shed that you might have driven into, and that's like half apart. I wanted to say that we are working with HSSD, and I'm working with Josh to see if we can secure the area. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but there's a lot of just leftover debris. So we've requested HSSD, Homeless Strategies and Solutions Department, to pick that up ASAP. As you know, that is being carried to the hillside, which I don't need to tell you what happens next, but can be a fire hazard. And so we are looking at innovative ways to get that taken care of. Smart street lights. So I know SDPD has come to our office with some new locations. To give you some examples: 54th and Streamview, College Avenue, and Streamview. We also have University and Choice Parkway on there. Those are the 3 main ones that we have currently right now that are being proposed from SDPD. And just I learned today that they're actually facing all directions. The camera would get all directions of the collection of the data. So that's something to keep in mind. I did have conversations with some community members, but happy to open some feedback to that. As you know, I don't know if you guys know, but Jeffrey is no longer the rep for El Cerrito. So I want to just reiterate that it is Sara. So if you are emailing Jeffrey, it's not that he doesn't like you. He loves everyone, but he's actually just taking on more policy work. So just keep in mind, Sara is your new rep for El Cerrito, and also Rolando Village stays the same. I will lead with this. I'm not sure what the future looks like, but we have a new chief of staff, Molly Weber. She came from the Housing Commission, and she is our new chief of staff. We're happy to have her on board. She's making some profound changes. One of those changes that I do not have an answer to tonight is the community changes that might occur. So I can't tell you for certain if that is going to go through or not, but I'll be rest assured that I will let you all know if that takes place and who would be the contact. So just wanted to keep that open. We are continuing University Avenue Bikeway. So some folks had some questions on, okay, January, we're January, nothing's happening. So the project's still intact. Nothing has gone away. Sandag actually rejected all 3 bids because they came in too high. The price tag was way too high. So they're trying to be a little bit physically responsible. Now, what that means, and I'm making this clear, that does not mean the 70 trees are in jeopardy. I made that very clear to Sandag. They made that clear to me that that is still part of the plan. They're just trying to minimize the costs of it. So now the new launch date for that is going to be in June. That is the tentative date. I was not too thrilled to hear about that, just because we were promised in January. So I will be actually going to Sandag on Friday with the council member to get a further explanation on why that is, and if there's any reason to maybe adjust more of the planning now that we have more time. So I will be connecting with Lynn and John, and I know Bob is no longer on the group, but I definitely would like to hear the board's input on any changes, if we can squeeze them in, since we have an additional 6 months. So please let me know as soon as possible. Lastly, we have the budget memo that was released. I'm not going to get too much into detail, but long story short, we're having a not so great budget year this year. We're going to be making some tough decisions. I want to reiterate the council members' commitment to not having across the board cuts. As you know, if we were to shut down a rec center or a park in, for example, the eastern area, it would have tremendous impact. Me saying, this is an example, this has not been confirmed. If they were to scale back the college area of Rolando Library, right, that has a profound impact on a lot of folks in the eastern area. So that's just an example of what could happen. Parks and Rec, I have heard, has been asked to cut 30% of their budget, which, if you ask me, is very perilous and not great. So we are asking for the city and specifically the mayor's office to look at revenue streaming options. One of them being charging tourists that come into our city and use our resources. The council member has made it very clear that saddling that budgetary constraint on residents is not fair. And most of the time, residents don't even have the opportunity to use some of the parks and, the zoo, Mission Bay, and etc. So it's not fair for folks that live here to be burdened with that cost. We are excited to have the cost of living committee. Sean will be chairing that. I don't have any specifics on what we're going to talk about there, but I do know we're going to be tackling the cost of living and seeing how we can get innovative in terms of getting folks money back into their pockets, as the economy is not looking good and it's very hard for folks to live in San Diego. So that's all my updates. I don't know if you have any other questions.
Oh, yes. And comments. So Emily?
Regarding the University Bikeway, are they gonna rebid it now and start in June, or are they rebidding it in June?
They're rebidding it now as we speak.
Right.
Have
Are
the
they
project-
having,
Go
are they
ahead, sir.
having to eliminate any of the scope since the
No.
previous bids?
No, nothing has been eliminated. Everything is in place. I made sure to reiterate that they do not touch the trees, or else they're going to be hearing from this board and from more folks. So they were not inclined to do that because they knew what was coming. So Sean and I made that clear to them that the trees are not a non-negotiable. if they were to cut the scope. But yes, they are bidding now. Construction is going to be in June. There is a possibility that could start in April or May if the bids are successful. So I just want to be honest and transparent that the latest it will be is June. So I don't want to say like March and then it's another delay. So yeah, any other questions?
Thanks. Any other
Comments?
questions for Roberto? I have a comment, Roberto, and that's
Yes.
about adding trees if there is time. Because I did look at the bikeway plans and those 69 trees are in City Heights and between 54th and College. There's not a single tree east of College to Aragon, which is the one area that we did ask for trees. So just saying.
Yeah.
And now if you have a little time, we would like to see that scope looked at again. It's just, 70 trees, but 25 of those are in City Heights. So for our planning group, that's not relevant to us. We have 44 trees between 54th and College. And there's not even a single tree now. They did have one insulting tree at Benillo that they took out of the plan, so.
Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
to, yeah, if that's what the community wants, I'm happy to re-engage in that conversation with Sandag. Again, we are going to be meeting with them on Friday at the transportation executive board. So I'm going to be sure to talk to Sean and the folks at Sandag to see what that looks like. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one
Uh,
quick
Go ahead.
thing to add is the city was able to do a quick build median on El Cajon Boulevard between Rolando and Aragon to address some traffic concerns. Why is it they can't do a quick build median on University to add trees in the median like we originally requested starting 3 years ago? That's all. All right, thanks. Laura?
I just wanted to echo Lynn's comments. We've been very vocal about that section between College and La Mesa, and getting trees. And I think that's been our main focus and our emphasis every time we've talked about this topic. So really appreciate anything you can do, Roberta.
Bettina.
Yeah, I just want to also add on to that, Roberto, we want those trees.
Duly noted. Duly
We
noted.
want those trees. We're gonna get those trees.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, that's it. We want the
Okay.
trees.
John, and then
period.
Jen, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I'll say, Roberto, that whenever I heard 70 trees, I always assumed, maybe it was my fault for assuming, but I was under the impression that that was east of 54th going to 70th. This is the first I've ever heard of City Heights being involved at all.
That's true.
That's whenever we talked about trees in our project, it was always like Eastern area and there was nothing mentioned about City Heights, who are, I don't know, they're a different group.
That's the bikeway, actually, the University Bikeway will start in City Heights. It's Estella Street, which is maybe a couple of miles west of there.
Yeah.
And I did know because at a meeting I was at, the CDC said, oh, we got this grant. We're going to be adding trees to the bikeway in City Heights. And that turns out to be 25 of those 70 trees. So anyway.
And I have a follow-up on a different subject. I was unclear, Roberta, when you said you've got a new chief of staff there in the office and they're going to be making some changes to the community. Does that mean to the community reps? Like, is it
Yeah,
possible?
correct.
It's
Correct.
possible you'll have a different job coming up.
It is possible that I can be moved around.
Got
Yeah, I don't, but I'm being honest and transparent with y'all, like how I've always been. So it's not like such a shocker. I want to stay here. I made that clear. But again, that's not a decision I'm gonna be making. So just stay tuned, and obviously we'll definitely catch if I do move, I definitely catch that person up to speed, and or try to let them know about the issues and connect you with them. So I don't have an answer right now, but I will try to get you one at the next meeting.
Okay, thanks, John. Jen? one
Good
last
evening,
one.
Roberto. It's Jen. You brought up changing the size of the Rolando Library. I just want to remind you that parking in that library is currently still an issue, and we're gonna keep fighting for that too.
Yeah, that was an example I made. There's no changes, no fundamental changes. I was using that as an example of cuts, right?
Mm.
If we're the library's cutting 20%, which all departments have been asked, right? The library could literally close at like 3, right? Or at noon, or be closed Monday and Friday. So that's what I was meaning. The cuts are substantial in our communities, and not just here in D9, but in D8 and D4 specifically. Versus, I'll be honest, community in La Jolla that gets library hours reduced, right? Because they probably have a lot more access up there. They'll probably be okay. So that was just an example.
So are you saying that we're not going to see cuts to the library equitably across all 9 districts?
There is a possibility that the mayor I'm just gonna give this as a pretext. If you all saw what happened last year's budget, which was the mayor cut a lot of things, just imagine this time around. It's not gonna be pretty. So we are making it clear that we don't want there to be inequities in the cuts, and we don't want there to be across the board cuts. We need to look at revenues. We need to look at ways to make money before we start cutting people. And also, let me remind folks that cutting 20% of a council office is going to profoundly do damage. And I say that because we bring snacks, we bring water, we bring the supplies to the cleanups. And now imagine us not having money for that. Imagine not having EDCO passes anymore that the city can provide. Those are the ramifications when I'm talking about across the board cuts. Do I think it happened? It might happen. Everything's on the table. And so that's why I ask folks to stay engaged with our office and with anyone else.
Okay, thanks, Roberto. Any last questions? Oh, I'm going to take the question back here first.
What is the reason for all these cuts?
Balance the budget. There's a $278 million deficit this year. And so all departments have been asked to cut, is it 30%, 20%?
20%.
20, yeah. Andy, and then Laura, and then let's wrap it up.
Roberta, this is out of your district, but I'm calling on answer a question about District 4. Is Oak Park Library on that list, or is it still going through? Do you know?
I don't know any. I don't have any specifics. Anything. So the mayor will release that memo of his budget. And sometime in the spring, I'll get you those dates exact. And they will be detailed of like what he's looking at to cut, what he's not looking at to cut. I think it's very important to keep touch with the mayor's office and also just the budget, because there's also sometimes a lot of things that get misconstrued, or they don't make sense, or it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. So I don't have any specifics on that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Roberto, I understand that the reason we're having these cuts is because we didn't pass the tax hike and because the pensions are taking a larger portion of the city budget. Is that correct?
I cannot confirm the pension thing. I have not heard that.
Oh, it's been in the paper.
Yeah, well, sometimes we got to make sure we fact check. That's just the honest thing. I'll fact check that and get back to you. But the measure, look, I'm just going to be quite frank here. Measure E was only a few thousand votes from passing. We would be in a different conversation if that had been passed. We'd actually be talking about funding a lot more things than what we have thought. And predominantly the folks that voted for Measure E were folks in areas like Redwood Village, Oak Park, Rolando Park, underserved communities, City Heights, Southcrest, Logan Heights. And unfortunately, the folks that did not vote were north of the 8. So that is the reality of it. It's unfortunate, but that's why we're at this position now. And also, just lastly, because I know we're running out of time, the city has deferred a lot of these maintenance agreements, deferred whatever you call it, on vehicles, on payroll, etc. for so many years, both Democrat and Republican administrations. that we're at this point that we need to address it. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at this point.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thanks, Roberto. Anything else? All right, thank you, Roberto. We're gonna move on to our action item tonight.
Bruce isn't here?
Sorry, no,
Bruce?
Bruce is not here, which means I didn't need to respond to the question about the crossroads, so.
I'll have to email him. Okay, thanks.
So we're moving on to our action item, and that's an application to apply for an extension of time for a conditional use permit amendment. And this is for a 48-bed residential care facility for drug and alcohol rehab at 4890 67th Street. Most of you were not on the board. 3 years ago, we did approve this project, and they're back now looking for an extension from us. And Terry Strom, are you going to be presenting tonight, or?
I will be kind of co-presenting, but the main presenters will be Michael and I believe, and we would like to share our screen if we could to walk through a PowerPoint presentation. Is that something you guys can give us permission?
Yes, I just turned it on, so go ahead.
Great, great. So Michael or Alexa, do you want to pull the screen up there? Just go down and press on share screen.
Yep.
Dan, could you introduce yourselves to us too, please?
Yes, on our side, we have myself, Michael Caston. I'm the CEO of Ultra Behavioral Health.
I'm Alexis D, the Chief of Staff for Ultra Behavioral Health.
Okay.
And I'm Andrew Polsky, one of the co-founders of Ultra Behavioral Health.
Okay, thank you.
So we have here some presentation. Right?
Can you see our screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So what we have here is just a overview of our facility in the community in Rolando Park there in the eastern area. Within your committee area, we appreciate you guys giving us time here. So essentially, can you move that? I can't really see that. Can't see that over here. All right, so we want to come before you because we really are looking for additional time for the completion of construction, and which is part of our request for the conditional use permit extension. And we've experienced some project delays that have now been resolved. Some of them have been logistical delays. Some of them have been funding delays. But we have now pretty much got everything lined up in order to move the project forward. There's really no change in the existing to what we're requesting here and to the existing use. This has been a facility or a property that's been used since 1993 for this particular use for behavioral health treatment and care. When we bought the property about three to 4 years ago, it was in somewhat disrepair, and we have come in and beautified it and have since operationalized a part of it. And so I want to present to you kind of our progress and some other issues that are important for you to know. So since we last met, we have really completed a complete remodel of the inside and out of the residential. There was a single family residence that's on this property, and we have remodeled that, put about $750,000 in capital improvements to enhance the sort of the aesthetic and the operational readiness to support a residential facility that we have put into operation in October of 2022. And that 6-bed operation is fully compliant with all applicable state and county regulations. And it is not subject to the conditional use permit criteria. So we have been operating within the neighborhood since 2022. And we still have a large percentage of the project yet to be completed. It really stands within the main building. It's a primary structure that encompasses over 8,000 square feet. It has a main common area. There's laundry facilities. There'll be a kitchen area. I will say that we do have plans that have been already approved. We have pulled permits already in place. We have paid all planning and permit fees as well in conjunction with that part of the project. And so our goal in this phase is to add an additional 16 beds in that facility. On the total, we have of the 48 beds we have in the conditional use permit. Our plan in this phase is to have 22 beds go operational.
Can I jump in there for a second, Mike? I mean, just want to understand, this has already been completely approved in a conditional use permit. So this has already gone through, we've already presented in front of you, it's already been approved. This is just, the only purpose of what we're doing right now is an extension of time to what's already been approved.
Thank you, Terry, for that clarification. Let's go on to the next slide. This is just an overview of the services that we offer there. Lodging, food service, transportation. We have 24-hour staffing, providing continuous support and supervision. We provide basic living skills instruction, case management services for vocational and educational support, individualized treatment planning, very comprehensive clinical program, weekly therapy sessions, social and recreational activities. We provide medical and dental assistance. We also have family support and education for the family members, provide medication assistance, resource management and support, psychiatric services, special therapy, and comprehensive nutritional evaluations and support. Since we've been in operation, we're proud of these numbers. We've served a total of 369 clients at this facility thus far. 76% have successfully completed treatment, and the client satisfaction rate and client experience is 87%, very high quality metrics. And our client outcomes in terms of clinical diagnostics that we're achieving, we see a 23.5% reduction in anxiety, 34.5% improvement in depression, decrease in depressive symptoms. We're seeing an overall increase in the personal well-being index of 33.5% and an increase in the life satisfaction index of 28.04%. So we really take a very precision-based approach, a diagnostically driven approach to ensure that we are getting positive outcomes with those that we provide care for. We have a full, comprehensive model that includes neuroscience, our individual diagnosis, our evidence-based treatment modalities, and then data-informed science that really gives us the ability to provide this holistic, positive results for those who come to us for care. We really are not just providing treatment, but we really seek to understand the science of transformation. And we also have a very comprehensive system for really assessing our staff. We have the right people in the right seats that can really provide meaningful, measurable outcomes. We look at what are the fundamental drivers to ensure that people that are coming to us are getting the care, quality of care, more importantly, that they deserve to increase performance and clinical outcomes. Here we're just showing that we have about 65% of our clients that are arriving between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. The balance come between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. And we are basically averaging about 2.5 clients arrive and depart per day. 95% are all chaperoned by our own staff, and 5% are transported by family or loved ones. We have a 24/7 operation. Within the current operations, we have a 6-bed facility that's operating, and then our future expansion will allow us to stand up to 48 total beds. We have in fully staffed, fully operationalized. We anticipate we will have 45 employees operating around the clock in 2 shifts. We are licensed and certified by the California Department of Social Services. And we have a certification from the California Department of Healthcare Services. And we are also accredited by the Joint Commission. We have security there that is also patrolling the perimeter of the property 24 hours a day, 7 days per week as well. This is just an overview of the site plan that currently exists. In our plan that was approved, our construction documents, we're not really expanding the footprint at all of the existing structure. We're just beautifying, bringing it up to code, modernizing it, and improving the curb appeal of the property. This is what the property looks like that we beautified, that we have done improvements on already. And you can see the curb appeal for this single family residence has improved dramatically. If any of you walked by this parcel before, this is nothing what it looked like before we acquired it and beautified it. So it's a very nice experience for those who are in the facility receiving treatment. And it really does a great job of providing a really pleasing and pleasant, nice aesthetic externally within the neighborhood. We have some basic reviews that we have across all of our facilities. We maintain a 4.8 out of 5 stars. So we have very good reviews and client experience that we've been able to maintain. I will say that we really have enjoyed being in the community. We take our work there very seriously. Our impact in the San Diego County area is beyond the work that we do here at this facility. We've also been working to provide flood relief in partnership with FEMA. Since October of 24, we've provided over 10,000 encounters of care through our crisis counseling team that are boots on the ground within that local community at no cost. So we've been able to not only make an impact here at this location, but within the greater San Diego County because of the atmospheric river event that happened and the resulting floods. So we're actually in the market. We just met with FEMA last week and other federal and state agencies to update on our progress that we made in that market. Are there anything else here? Any questions?
I'm going to open it up to the board. Questions? Start with Laura first and then Jim.
You mentioned, are any of your patients homeless?
No, they're not. We don't have homeless. Although we want to create greater access and equity to care, our model is not really to take the unhoused population and bring them into our facilities. There may be somewhere on their journey prior to coming to us, homelessness or being unhoused may have been part of their journey, but not immediately before coming into our facilities. We have a large percentage of our admissions are coming from the local hospitals in the San Diego market there.
And then you mentioned that you have families and individuals. Is the new construction for families as well?
No, we just have family participation. The families are not being admitted or treated at the facility. We're just providing integrative holistic support so that the outcomes are better, so that when we do the discharge planning, families are better prepared to support that individual and sustain their well-being over time.
And do you have any reports available regarding your results and the costs for treating these people?
We showed earlier in the presentation, those results were our clinical outcomes using the diagnostic instruments that we have measured over time using measurement-based care.
Well, I was asking regarding reports because we keep hearing from the state and from local agencies that they know they've been paying a lot of money for a lot of mental health treatment problems, but they are not able to tell where the money is gone, which was mentioned earlier today. So it would be great if you guys could maybe get together a report, tell us how much money is spent and your success, much more detailed than what you provided on the screen. I would appreciate that a lot.
We're not funded by the government, and we don't take any government agency funding for this facility. This is all privately funded.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. Jen?
So I'm new to this board and maybe I zoned out while you were talking about it, but you have a 6-bed facility, you're expanding it, but then you've seen 376 people since October 2022. How fast are you moving people in and out of that bed?
1992.
It depends on their medical condition and the clinical necessity. We have a step-down capability. So what we do is at that facility, we take them sort of at a higher acuity. We basically get them to the place where they can then transfer to another facility within our network for longer term support. So they're not intended at that facility because it's sort of small, the single family residence layout right now, to be there for too long. They're there to basically get to a place where they're ready to enter into a step down facility for longer term support and care.
Then how do you have 2.5 people in and out daily with 6 beds? That means like half of your beds are empty a day. I don't understand. That was on page 7, I think. No, page 8 of your PowerPoint.
I think that really is what we anticipate in the future, not the current state.
I see. Okay.
The future state would be 2.5 total in and out in the future. Larger bed count, not an existing bed count.
I see.
Okay.
Good question. So thank you.
Yeah, John?
Couple questions. One is, are your patients / clients coming and going during the day, or are they required to stay on premises?
They're required to stay on premises. They are not allowed to leave facility. So it's not a lockdown facility. I'll say that. We're not permitted to have a lockdown facility. It's a voluntary treatment facility, but they are not out of sight. They do not leave premise, and they are always monitored and supported.
Michael, why don't you share about how that if someone does decide to leave the program, you make an arrangement to take them off of the property, either your staff or family, how that works?
Yeah, we basically are sort of a full turnkey transition model in that if they are not going to stay with us, then we will make sure they get transported safely and onto their ultimate destination.
Great. Another question I had was, are your clients / patients principally court mandated to stay with you, or are they voluntarily there?
They're voluntarily admitting. We don't have court mandated patients or clients at this time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Emily?
What is the timeline to complete this, the main portion of the facility?
We anticipate that it'll be done Q1 of 2026.
So that's a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, year and a half extension, what they need. Okay, any other questions
One
here?
quick one.
Let me just, Alex, Richard, do either one of you have a question?
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
Okay,
I have
thank
a
you.
couple of quick questions, I think.
Sure.
The first one is, how many people, how many staff are there during the day and night? If you have 6 beds, how many staff actually stay over?
We usually have at least 2 to 3 staff in the knock shift overnight, right? So, and then during the day, that staff count goes up to approximately 4.
Okay. Yeah, it did seem like a smaller house, and so I
That's-
wondered
it's-
how the staff were able to sleep there along with the patients.
They don't sleep, they're basically on duty, so it's not, there's no sleeping, there's no, we're doing 15-minute to 30-minute rounds, per hour, so, it's not, they're not sleeping overnight, they're not also, our staff are not being housed there at all.
Okay, yeah.
You
that's
have
kind of
like,
what I-
you have like 3 shifts, Michael? How does it work, just shifts wise?
We have right now, with 2 shifts, yeah, 2 shifts. 2 shifts, 12-hour shifts, nursing, support staff, therapist, nurse practitioners, etc.
Okay,
No
so
one's sleeping, they're actually working there during their shifts.
gotcha. Okay, it sounded like at first there was like live-in staff. That's why I was kind of baffled by that. So, okay.
Okay.
And also, has your company owned the property since 1993?
No, we
Okay,
acquired it about 4 years ago.
okay, okay. Good. That answered my second question. What took 30 years, right? Right, basically. So, okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Laura, you had one last question, and then Jen, and let's wrap up.
Shoot.
I'll move on to Jen
Yeah,
then.
I think.
Emily, sorry. I'm tired tonight. I'm sorry. Emily.
Just a comment. I drive by here almost every day.
Me too.
I've always assumed it was like a senior care facility. There's never people hanging around outside or anything like that. So, you know, just
I actually have the same experience as
Yeah.
you do. I drive by there quite often. Have you noticed neighbors as to the increase in your facility, and have you gotten any responses from them? That was my question.
I mean, I was actually there after we beautified and operationalized. We had an open house there, and I had a neighbor, husband and wife, come up to me and thank me for if you knew the condition of that building before we acquired it, it was a nuisance. And so I had a husband and wife come up to me and shake my hand, thank me for the positive impact we're making in the community.
Okay, thanks, everyone. So just to summarize, you're looking for an extension. You need about 18 months to complete this project. That's what we're looking for here, right? You just need us to approve an extension. Is that?
It's just an extension of time, yes.
Yep, okay.
And-
Thanks very much.
Is that for the CUP or just for the building? And
For
the
the
ones,
for the CUP.
Yeah.
and then we'll be issuing a new CUP when you get larger?
No, it's already, everything is already included in the CUP that's been approved.
Okay.
This is the one, we did approve it 3 years.
Yeah, I remember.
And so now we're amending it with an
You're
extension.
not even amending it. This is literally just, there's not one thing that's changing on it. They're
Yeah.
exactly the same one that you approved 3 years ago. It's just an extension of time.
Right. I think it had amendment on it from the hearing officer. That's why I put that on there.
It was an
Um,
amendment, it was an amendment originally 3 years ago.
Yep,
It was a CUP amendment. So
okay,
this is now, so that's what was originally approved back 3 years ago, and this is just an extension of time.
okay, thanks, Terry. All right, someone would like to make a motion to approve this extension?
I move that we approve the extension of the facility for until they're completed in 2026.
2026, second?
Second.
Andy seconds.
We'd
Okay.
like to just, if we could, just keep it, I think we're going for a 3-year extension, just, that's, I think, normal. So I think that's.
Okay.
Okay, 3-year extension.
Fine, thanks, Terry. All right, Laura, motion to approve, Andy seconded, so I'm gonna do a roll call vote then. John,
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Bettina,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Jen?
Yeah.
Kristen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
and Sonia.
Yes.
All right, passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very
Um,
much.
Yes,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll send this on to the project manager, I guess, from the city. I'll send that on to them. Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, that's our action item for tonight. We have an update from our consultants from the city. No, you are from environmental. All right.
And Leah is gonna do the presentation. but I
She's
will-
quite familiar to some of us because we saw her last night.
Right.
I'll introduce myself. I'm Jeremy Bauer. I'm an assistant director with Environmental Services Department. And Leah works in our department and will be providing the presentation, but we'll both tag team any questions you may have.
I actually loaded it on so I can just,
Share the screen.
yeah, I'm just gonna share the screen. See if I can muck this up this time. So I think that this presentation, the original, was seen at El Cerrito. We've seen it at Rolando Park. But do you know, Kristen, if it's been presented to Webster?
I was not at the last meeting, so.
Or any time since the fall, I think they've been doing presentations. And Emily, Rolando, which is why I thought it was a good idea to have them come here, because I figured that some of us have seen it and some of us have not. And it's good to take this back to the community. You might ask Richard or the Webster Community Council if you're involved.
Steve's online.
Yeah, to see about having them present there. But thank you. Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Leah Jackson. I'm an assistant management analyst with ESD. And tonight I'm just going to provide a brief update on Measure B. We're going to go over our outreach and engagement efforts so far, the cost of service study, and then our next steps for the next year. Go on to the next slide. So some brief background on Measure B. It was passed by San Diego voters in November of 2022. And it amended the People's Ordinance in 1919, so it's quite old and there was time for a change. It gave us the authority to do a couple of different things. So first, we were able to review our current services and most popularly known to begin charging a fee. It did not automatically give us the fee in hand. We still have to do the work to determine what the fee is. We do now have the authority to charge properties a fee. We can only charge properties that have a maximum of 4 units though. So it did clarify our customer base. And it also gave us the opportunity to explore what particular services we could add. If we're going to charge a fee, there's, maybe residents want their money to go to different things. So we're now exploring what those new services could be.
Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, I can. Sorry. Okay, here. Next slide, please. So who's impacted by Measure B? There's different groups. So there are those that we already service and we're going to continue to service. So there are single family homes and multifamily homes that have up to 4 units. They're already with us, they're going to stay with us. On the other side of that, there are multifamily homes that have up to 4 units that we should be servicing, but we do not. So they're probably now serviced by a franchise hauler. We're going to bring them on to ESD service. And there are also those that we currently service, but because they now have more than 4 units, we can no longer service them. So an example of this is a property years ago was just a simple house, single family, but then they added a bunch of ADUs. So now we can no longer service them because they have more than 4 units. So they will be with the franchise hauler moving forward, like WM, Echo, et cetera. We can go on to the next slide, please. So the cost of service study is important because we need to adhere to Proposition 218, which states that we cannot charge a fee that's higher than the amount it costs to provide the service. So our cost of service study does a couple of different things. First, we had to do a baseline cost analysis to determine how much it even costs to provide our service. So this goes into the truck drivers, the trucks themselves, staffing, the processing of recyclable materials, organic waste. So we have to evaluate how much that costs so we can determine what a fee could look like. It also allows us to investigate what services residents would actually like to see. So maybe bulky item pickup, weekly recycling, things that we don't currently offer, we could probably start offering in the future if the fee allows us to do so. It also allows us to investigate a fee structure and an investigation of a discount program. So we are currently exploring a lifeline rate. We're fully aware that there are those that have a fixed income, for example, that might not be able to afford this fee. So we're exploring options to provide support for those individuals as well. Next slide, please. So here's a timeline from the passing of Measure B to now. So again, it passed in November 2022. In March of 2024, our former director and our current assistant director, Jeremy Bauer, went to City Council and we were awarded our consultant agreement with HDR. In March, we started planning our outreach and engagement efforts with our consultant, and that ranged from March to July. We had briefings with City Council, we had briefings with the mayor's office so they could stay up to date with what we're up to. In July, we started the round 1 of our outreach engagement. We had open house meetings, community events like these. And then we started round 2 in November. Very similar, but we got more into depth. We asked more in-depth questions. We changed our survey a little bit. And then in November, we went to Environment Committee to provide a informational update of our outreach and engagement and a resolution of support for the use of tax roll billing as a potential mechanism to collect the fee. And we took that same information to full City Council on December 16th. We answered some of the questions that the Environment Committee had for us and presented the same information, and our resolution support did pass. We had 2 council members that voted against it, but we did pass, and then we'll move forward with actually getting the official vote later in the year. Next slide, please. So as far as round 1, we met with about 6,300 people. At least we were able to engage with that many people. About 3,000 people responded to our survey, and that was round 1 of our survey. We now have round 2, which is still active. I'll show you the QR code for that one later in the presentation. And we were physically able to meet with about 3,400 people. We were able to do this through 30 community events, 36 group presentations like these. We had, I believe, 10 interviews. We had an open house that was online, and we did the 9 open house meetings throughout the different council districts as well. Next slide, please. As far as our media impressions, it took a lot of effort. We had multilingual print ads, television and print ads, our social media. We developed a new website, which is cleangreenSD.org, which is still active. And we also prioritize meeting with leaders and those that know their communities best. So we had ongoing community-based organization meetings, and again, our interviews with our interested parties as well. Next slide, please. As far as what we heard during round 1, relatively good news. About 74 to 80% of people said that they were either satisfied or very satisfied with our service, but we're aware there's room for improvement. Some of those improvements could be a better system for damaged bins and having to pay for bins that you do not damage. Also delayed and missed collections, which you currently use to get it done to resolve. Maybe there's a way we can fix the system. There was also confusion about what can be put in the compost bin, what can be put in your green bin, and what can be put in your recycling bin as well. And concerns about organic waste attracting pests and vermin and things of that nature. And on the side, we have pictures of the different boards. We had like a post-it board and then different service enhancements for you to select which ones you would like to see in the future. And then on to the next slide, please. We have our top choices for those service enhancements I was speaking about earlier. So we have the container size options and the fee adjustments. So we had a lot of people ask, well, if I have 1 or 3 cans and they're each 65, am I gonna have to pay the same amount as someone that has 9 cans and they're 95? So currently the model, basically the size and the quantity does affect the fee. So that kind of clarified that question. We also had an interest in increased recycling pickup. Currently it's only bi-weekly. Almost all the franchise haulers are able to do it weekly. So we're exploring if we're gonna be able to do that. We also have bulky item pickup program that's been expressed as a desire for residents. So maybe once or twice a year, you could have a voucher, some kind of mechanism that could allow us to come get your bulky item pickup for you. So you don't have to take it all the way up to the Marion landfill yourself. And lastly, currently we have household hazardous waste. You can drop it off in Miramar landfill, but only on Saturdays. Maybe there's an easier way we could do that. Maybe we could have events throughout the council districts or we could have more frequently, we could do it more than just on Saturdays, so we're also exploring how that could work. Okay. And last for round one, we have just other comments, so we were able to give them a list of options they would like to see, but we also want to make sure people could just tell us what they would like to see without having to choose what we already thought. So you have residents who are kind of confused about how they're paying for trash now. So a lot of people were under the impression that their property taxes alone pay for trash. And we had to explain that the general fund really pays for trash. We had a nice graphic that breaks down exactly what encapsulates the general fund and how property taxes play into that. I do have that on my flash as well. If you'd like to see the board, you have a question about that. But we also had residents who continued to express the need for transparency. That's why we're doing so many rounds of outreach and engagement. I know 3 kind of seems like a lot, but we just want to make sure we're in the community here, ready to answer questions. So there's no confusion, there's no lack of transparency in the process. And lastly, we did have a lot of people say they appreciate the open house format. We decided to do an open house so that it wasn't kind of like what I'm doing now, where I just present and you have to ask questions. We wanted to make sure that people have enough time so that everyone's questions get answered. At our open house, we have a staff member at each table. So anyone come up to us, ask the questions and leave without feeling like they ran out of time. Next slide, please. So there are still participation opportunities. Round 1 is done. We're wrapping up round 2 this month, but you can continue to attend meetings like these. The open houses are currently done for round 2, but we still have meetings like these. And you can find the schedule on our website, cleangreenSD.org. You can also complete our survey. It's at the QR code you see on the screen. Feel free to take that yourself, send it to neighbors, friends, family. We want to get as much feedback as we can, as much respondents to the survey. And you can also contact us at our email address, which is trash@sandiego.gov. And again, our website, cleangreenSD.org. It has our schedule, but also has news and articles, updates, resources and materials, frequently asked questions. If you weren't able to attend an open house, we do have all the graphics and boards under the resources and FAQ tab. So you can see every single thing we said and showed during round 1 and during round 2 as well. Next slide, please. So as we're wrapping up round 2, we are working on round 3. We currently are in the process of identifying where those locations are going to be, what dates they're going to happen on. Once it's ready to share, we will put it on our website, cleangreenSD.org, and you'll be able to find the date, location, the time for meetings like these and the open house meetings as well. Next slide. The last thing I have for you is a timeline for the next steps for the rest of the year. So we have, again, informational update and resolution report. That was in November and December. We had our outreach and engagement for round 2. That's wrapping up now. In February, we're going to present the cost of service study and the fee schedule to the Environment Committee. In February, we're also going to start round 3. So there's going to be a little overlap there. It's going to run into March. In March, we're also going to go to full city council and present the cost of service study and the fee schedule. Following that, in April, we're going to send mailers out to everybody that's impacted by Measure B, and that's going to follow the 45-day protest period. And after that, we're going to go back to city council in June, and that's where they're going to vote if there's even going to be a fee, and if there is, what that fee is going to look like. And if that goes well for us and we get enough votes, we're going to move forward in July. The earliest we would see a fee effective would be July. And in July, we would also have our customer portal we've been developing go live as well. And that's pretty much all I have for you, but I am happy to take questions. You can go to the next slide. It just has our website as well, cleangreenSD.org, if you'd like to check that out one last time. But my name's Leah, I'm here to answer questions, and so is Jerry Bauer.
Okay, I'm going to start this in with Jim.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that you've taken 2 years to complete this process and not just throwing some fees on it. And I wonder if you're giving any consideration to like cost as it goes up. Like, okay, this thing starts in 25 in the summer. What's it going to look like in the summer of 26? I mean, the economy is supposed to tank, so people are really trying to tighten their belts right now. So what are the cost increases going to look like from starting on out?
Yes, that's what the fee schedule goes over. So currently, I believe our model goes over 5 years. So for now, we've
Forecasted
been
out 10
forecasted.
years.
Oh, yeah, 10
But
years.
we're only presenting to city council 5 years worth of fees.
So we're
that's what they
taking
would be
into
voting on.
consideration.
Can we see that then?
In February. that's
Yeah,
when we'll-
when we present it, it's public, but it will be all be public or not anything. So you'll be able to see it when city council sees it as well.
Okay, thanks. Laura, and then Richard, I see you. You up next.
Have you been including the large item pickups in your fee schedule?
Yes, so
Because
there's different costs for that. Sorry.
Okay, I just know I've heard so many people saying they really want it.
Yeah, that's definitely a very popular choice, and there's a cost for that, so we've implemented that into the cost model to see how much that's gonna affect the fee and what we can give and what we can do.
Second, Richard?
Hi, Richard.
Yeah, on that point about the bulky item pickup fee, will there be requirements that if you're going to dump bulky items, you must do it before 6 a.m. the day of your trash pickup, like all the other bins need to be picked up rather than just throwing it out in the street because you know the city's gonna come by and pick it up.
We haven't explored the
Yeah,
journey council.
So we would have to come up with the specifications on the time. We do envision there be an appointment system, whether, and this is probably something that we get from the third round, whether it would be better to do it at 6 a.m. at the same time as the trash, or whether a specific time that is jointly decided between our department and the resident. If there's a preference between those two, there's room to have that conversation. And if you have a specific suggestion for that, we're happy to hear that comment now and take that.
Well, it is one option. I mean, for the residents to make them just simply call in and then know what day they can put it out. I don't know if that's feasible, with the city of San Diego is very big, but that's one option. The other option, like I said before, is hopefully they'll put it out, the day of pickup.
Did you have another question? Richard?
Yeah, I have another question with the first two slides. So just for clarification, so currently the city of San Diego collects for free the trash for 4 units or less, correct?
It's approximately what we've been doing for some time. Measure B explicitly clarified that it's only single family and only 4 units or less. And while that's generally what we have been doing, now that it's explicit in the city code, we've done an analysis to make sure, are there any folks that fit that category that we aren't servicing? And are there any that we are servicing that don't fit that category? And so we are seeing there's a small number of the margins that will transition to the appropriate category.
Okay, and then just to follow up on that, so currently 5 units or more, they have to get their trash picked up by a franchise trash hauler. Is that correct? 5 units or more right now.
Correct.
Okay, that's good to know. Household hazardous waste disposal, that's going to be very interesting. I know what it's like is, I have to go up there on a Saturday and make an appointment to go up to Miramar. So if there's any way that could be made a little bit easier, maybe regionally, or not regionally, but by neighborhood, I don't know. I know that the county used to put on household hazardous waste pickups at schools, but they would have to pick a day and all that. But there might be a central location where it could be done that way.
And I'm taking the note, and we are exploring not only expanding the hours at the Hustling Hazardous Waste Center at the landfill, but also potentially exploring whether we can do satellite locations.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would
Okay.
be just, and, okay, Bettina? And then I'll.
Couple questions, please. For the fee structure based on per can, have you guys thought about, let's say someone has 4 units, and if there's a charge per can, they decide to go the cheap route and or only have 1 can per household, and it's not enough.
How are we combating that?
Yeah, like
This is our model kind of.
Well, we are, so we're aware of that issue, and so part of the plan is also to ensure that our compliance folks are up there. So if your can is continuously overflowing, you're out of compliance. If it's consistent, or if it's a space issue where they clearly need more than one, but there's no space for more than one, it actually would, per our regulations, they wouldn't qualify for city service, and they would have to use a dumpster, for example.
Oh, interesting.
So there's an off ramp for those kinds of, and that might come up, for example, if there's let's say vacation rental that's residential, so it qualifies. But if they're producing such a volume of trash that the 3 containers won't contain the volume as we've written, as we're envisioning the regulations that would off ramp them from our service, and then they would have to be professional.
Okay. And then just that clarification on when you go back to the city council, you're going to be presenting the fee structure that you envision, and they get to vote on whether they approve of that or not.
In June.
In
Yeah,
June. Yeah.
But you'll
That's when
have
they'll
to-
get to vote. But they'll
Okay,
know
and if
the
they
fee
vote,
structure.
if they were to vote no, do you have to go back to the drawing board, or we
We
don't
would
know?
have to ask for funding from the general fund again to fund for our services.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Okay,
Interesting.
you have a comment back here first.
Hi,
Question?
my name's Paul. Kind of 2 areas I want to speak to, like 2 different ways. Kind of building on what Richard said earlier about 5 and above occupancy. So in neighborhoods, we are seeing an increase in ADUs. So we're seeing turnover from what is once a single family home to multi, now 5. So if 5 isn't being serviced, then you're kind of breaking up what would normally be an efficient route for trash collection. So our street, we're on a corner. When it's trash day, we see 3 different trash trucks go by, picking up on the appropriate green, recycling, and regular garbage. You know, going each direction around the corner. If that gets broken up, and now we have, you know, franchise haulers coming in, which we do have in our neighborhood for some of the larger complexes. It doesn't seem efficient. It seems kind of counter to being environmental. If you have even more big trucks going by all the time. That's that part. And then going to what you're talking about, hazardous waste, like tank camps, things like that. I know the city does these big events, and I know they're very expensive to do, where they do them like Capitol Park. And they're kind of like once or twice a year. To me, it seems more economical to have satellite locations for drop off, because people can't plan, they're moving, and they have all this paint, they want to get rid of it. They're not going to go up to, you know, Miramar and make an appointment. They're going to throw it away. That's what's going to happen. So if it's easier to do that, like if we have a problem, we're lucky we can take it to work. Our work has a way of disposing it. A lot of people don't have that. So I think from a cost perspective, it would probably be better to have satellite locations that are open, you know, a couple more days a week that are easier to get to, than to host these grandiose things. You guys send mailers out and do all that. So, thank you for the comment I'm capturing on the satellite location. On the first point, I hear you. Yeah. And the city ordinance, which directs what we can do, very black and white about the 4. One thing we have, because we've heard this before, and it's a good point. While the city wouldn't directly get involved with private decisions between a owner of a property and which private hauler they use, we have suggested that people are open to it. The different properties on the same street could have a discussion about maybe picking the same private company so that there's only one truck, rather than potentially 3 or 4 different companies.
Good point. That's a very good point. Andy and then Emily.
A time frame to change the size of your trash can. What is the beginning and what is the end?
So it would start in July if all goes well. That's when our customer portal would open. So it's an online portal for you to select your service level. And I believe there's like a kind of like an open enrollment period that would last until the end of the year for you to swap it out or change and up it or decrease the amount of cans you have, or change the size.
And also, is there a fee if you want to get rid of your larger, because it's damaged, whatever?
No, there's no fee to get rid of.
That was one of the top feedback we heard across the board from every meeting, is that when containers break, customers shouldn't have to pay to replace them. And so we are building that into the cost model.
Do those cans get recycled? Like what happens
They
to
get
that
recycled.
giant hunk of plastic waste? Okay.
Yeah, I can speak to that. We moved into our house and our trash can was destroyed. So I called, we got a new one, which we had to buy to have one. And I said, well, what do we do with, and our blue one was off of that. And they said, what should we do? And they said, break it apart and throw it away. I'm like, break it apart? How do you break it apart? And literally the advice I got was, well, that you can give any kids in your neighborhood that might have fun beating it up. Literally, that's what I was told.
That was not my experience at all.
What was your
My experience was my trash can was all broken because it got stuck in the machine, in the truck. And I put it out, they told me to leave it out on the curb, we will pick it up and we will bring you your new one. So just swapped it out.
Emily.
Regarding you'll service up to 4 units, is there a limit on how many cans each unit can have? Are there gonna be days where there are 4 trash cans, 4 recycle bins,
Right.
and
Mhm.
4
Whoa.
green
Yeah.
waste in front of one property?
Potentially. If a property has, let's say, 4 units or 4 units and they each have 3, that could potentially be 12.
But they are each limited to 1 of each.
No,
No,
they
they
could have
could
more
be
than one,
12.
but if they need more than one, because that's the volume they produce, and there's not space, the off-ramp I talked about would say that they actually don't qualify for our service. And it would be more appropriate that they have a dumpster with a private company.
Yeah.
So there is that, we're contemplating those scenarios, recognizing that if you're producing that volume of trash, you're not really designed for environmental services department to service you.
Like residential ones. Let's wrap up, Laura.
When the commercial haulers haul, do the people differentiate their trash like we do? Like, do they have green waste and blue and black cans?
Yes. They just have their ECO label with the label.
And, but they have all, okay,
Subject to the same state regulation.
okay.
Even green waste. They're supposed to have green waste too, and if they're not, we have enforcement folks that try to catch up to make sure that everyone's complying.
I'm sorry.
Okay, last one, come on.
So as far as, we don't know the fee amounts yet, but as far as how they're designed, I'm assuming that they'll be, each household will have 1 green, let's say they have just 1 of each, and you pay for, you're charged by the number of cans you have? Is that the
So
idea?
yes, but what we're envisioning, and again, we'll be presenting to city council, and ultimately it'll be their decision, but what we're envisioning is that there would be a bundle. And that includes the trash, the recycling, and the organics. If you don't produce a lot of trash and you want a smaller trash container because you just don't produce a lot of trash, we're envisioning that the fee would be lower for that person. But if you need multiple containers, there would be an add-on fee for each second or third container.
And Eric, green, blue and black will all have a charge associated with them.
What we're envisioning is for the second and third containers, but for the first bundle, again,
Must be a
pending
bundle.
city council decision,
Got it.
we're envisioning that the first 3 are included. The first recycling and organics is included.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks,
you guys
everyone.
for your
Thank you,
time.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
A lot more lively than last night. Thanks, everyone. Okay, we have a couple of committee action items. First off, the one that is like pulling teeth. We need volunteers for the election subcommittee for the March election. I need 2 people, really.
I'll volunteer.
You know, and you can't be up for election. Oh, yeah, so you could volunteer.
What does it mean?
You're basically going to shepherd the candidates for the election. Any interested candidates would be in touch with you. You need to verify that they actually live in the community they say they live in, or own property there. And meet the candidate profile form. And on election day, I'll help you do the ballots. I've got the forms, they're on Google Drive, so you just print the ballots out and run the election here. It's going to be an in-person, there'll be no online component to it. It's just too hard to do. So people that are up for election, Kristen and I are termed out. So you'll be looking for candidates for Rolando Park, Webster. We are still missing, we have a seat open in Redwood Village. We now have a seat open in Rolando. Laura and Richard are also up for re-election, so you need to verify if they want to run again. And if not, we need to get that announced out to the communities, those communities as well, and try and fill some of these vacancies. Yeah,
There's also a vacancy in Oak Park.
that's right. I forgot about
Oh,
that
yeah,
because Alita
Alita.
stepped down. She couldn't do the in-person part. Laura? you had a question?
For the two of you who are termed out, is there a way for you to be on the ballot if nobody else puts their hat in and a 2/3 requirement is required, or does that happen at a follow-up?
If we fall below 10 members, then one of us or both of us can stay. We're almost there now.
I know.
Yeah. So.
Guys want a job?
Say,
Really
Lynn,
exciting world with planning groups. Yeah.
hey, Lynn, this
Yes.
is Alex. I'll go ahead and volunteer to serve on the election committee.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Alex has done it before and you can shepherd Bettina along. And like I said, I'm here to help because I'm not running for election again.
And then there's Bob up for election or his replacement.
It's just a vacancy now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so we want to fill that.
So there's two positions that need to be filled.
Yep. Okay.
Three?
Easy, thanks.
Well, actually,
In touch with the two of
And
you.
a
I'll do a
Webster.
group email and just give you a list.
Yeah.
So you can
please.
just verify, talk with the two people and then see if we can fill some of these vacancies for March. If they're still vacant, you know, you can vote to bring someone on board at a later time too. Which is how people like Bettina and I mean, we fill vacancies all the time.
Oh, yeah, all the
so
time,
it's
sure.
Just part of a planning group, you know, people roll in, people roll out. And so here's the other part. I'm going to do the minutes tonight, but we need to get some volunteers lined up for the rest of the year. I know, grin and bear it.
Can we just like,
You can pick.
I'll do whatever, whenever it.
If someone knows they're going to be gone, or if you just want to do it and get it out of the way, perfectly fine.
Not in September for me.
Sorry?
October.
It's a rotating job. I didn't.
Yeah, well, because no one wants to be the secretary.
Oh, no, I get that. No, I understand. I'll do it in February.
Will you?
Knock it out for the year.
March.
That's not election month, right?
No,
Okay,
March
yeah,
will
I'll do
be
it
the
February.
election. April would be election of new officers.
Okay.
Okay, March.
I'll do March.
Okay. April.
Can't do anything before that.
I'll do December.
Yeah, you're doing July. Okay, so April and May.
I'll take May.
Okay.
I take
April.
June. Oh, I can do April. May I can't do it.
All right, so we need August, September, October, November.
I'll do November.
Thanks, Andy.
I'll do August because I think I go on
December.
vacation for September.
I'll do October.
Okay,
October?
okay,
You can do December.
yeah. All right, so we have September left to fill. Going once?
Well, just give it to a new person who starts in March.
Well, or someone.
That's not fair. They may not volunteer.
Oh, with all those open seats, somebody's gonna volunteer.
I can get told.
That'll be
mandatory if they
very
Everybody, yeah, everybody gets their turn, that's all.
We're on this,
Not hard.
we're on this board
No.
to do some work, so.
The thing you got is the
You can't
video.
just
That's the
sit
most
here and not do
important
anything.
You get the video, you get a Word template, you get the attendance.
You get it?
records.
Oh, it's easy. You can go online and watch yeah.
Yeah, and if you take a few notes at the meeting like this, I just go through the video just to, you know, catch something that I might have missed, but really don't make it bigger than it is. Minutes should be simple, high level bullet points. I keep saying that over and over again.
Yeah, the only thing you need to do is the motions to be
Yeah,
specific on that, but everything else.
I don't know if you've ever seen the agenda for the college area, but they actually have a line there for motion and second, so that they capture it for everything on there, just to make sure someone captures it, so. Okay, so we have September left.
Well,
On page. Somebody.
I've already got 2 months.
See
Who
who's
only
not
has
there.
1 month?
Everybody else.
Well, I can switch with somebody. I'm not gonna be here at that point, but if somebody wants to switch for an earlier time when I am here.
Your February.
So you'll take February, I'll do September. Yeah, what you're
Yes.
saying.
It's our last parting as we go out. Kristen.
Compromise.
Almost, oh, by the way, you must do minutes before you can leave.
Right,
That's right. Before you leave, you have to.
You're
right.
gonna have to do the
My
minutes
minutes are
one
next
time.
month. I resign.
Okay, well, thanks. All right, that filled it out and I'll send it out as an attachment for next month. Thank you, everyone. That part's done. Review, correction, and approval of the minutes from November. Andy, did everyone read the minutes?
Yes.
And what corrections do we have, please?
May I go first?
Yes, yes, you may.
On page 2, starting up at the top under Fatima, C, was that trash collection? Open house December 2nd. On collection, on trash collection, or? I think it was trash collection.
Trash collection, Andy?
Maybe
Could have been.
it just
Might have been,
says
sure.
collection.
I think it was.
Okay, it's
Okay.
going to be.
Trash.
Right.
And then moving down that same page under subcommittee reports, community updates. Oak Park, the very last sentence. Oak Park had a Hispanic contest.
I think they did.
What was it? What was the contest for?
It's just a special program they had during that month, Hispanic month.
Oh.
Was it
what
an
was the-
event or a
Does not know
contest?
the event.
So it was
I think it's a
No.
combination,
art or?
and I don't know because I didn't attend it. Richard, do you know?
No, I didn't attend it either, but I thought that the flyer said Hispanic Heritage.
Right.
Hispanic
Was that where they had,
Heritage.
was that where they had the dancers? Oh, you weren't there, Andy. At the library?
Okay, so let's add heritage, Hispanic
Heritage,
Heritage
yeah.
That works,
contest.
okay.
And one tiny thing on page 3 for the good of the order and adjournment. Second bullet, last sentence, I would just put a comma between Lynn Edwards and.
Oh, he did do it. It did, Richard.
That's it for me.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Motion to approve with changes. Who made the motion? John. And seconded by Sonia. Okay, roll call vote. John,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Bettina,
Yes.
Emily,
Yeah.
Jen,
Yeah.
Kristen,
Yeah.
Laura,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Sonia.
Yes.
Okay, approved corrections. Thank you. On to committee reports, community updates. If you have something for your community, please raise your hand. We'll start with Emily.
The Rolando Street Fair is coming up March 23rd. Vendor applications are open if you know artisans, businesses. Send them to our website, rolandocc.org. And we will have, I know Bob has always kind of manned the booth.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to someone there, if we want to. We do.
I think you do. Of
Take
course, I
some
don't.
shifts
Oh,
or
wait.
we'll do
March, I'll
another
still be
share.
here. Yeah, it's good to get that kind of visibility, and I think we'd try, or should try something a little simpler next time. Some kind of spin the wheel thing, I think, or
Oh,
a big
yeah, people
photo
like that stuff.
with stars on it. That seems to work very well for the city last time. Okay, that's it. And you would announce maybe at your next council meeting that there's a vacancy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. John?
Redwood Village, because I'm serving on this board and I was kind of acting as the vice chair of the Redwood Village Community Council. I stepped away from that, and Bettina has volunteered to step into my place, and so she's the vice chair of the Redwood Village Community Council until such time as we have a vote and somebody else decides. But yeah, thank you for
Oh, thank you.
your input. So
You noticed how it went last night when we announced we were having an election for Rolando Park.
say that again.
Dead silence last night.
Okay.
The people started applauding when Sonia and I said we would stay on.
You're right.
Richard?
No, I just want to say that, we enjoy working with our neighbors, Redwood Village on Streamview Drive, and also Webster, with that fire station that is there. And I drove by Home Avenue, where one of the key sites that could have been for the fire station. It's over by on Home Avenue. You know where the 7-Eleven is? And you go up the hill and then it cuts over into Azalea Park. Perfect location. Now there's a big storage building that's just built there. And I looked it up. The property exchanged hands in 2022, and it's already up in 2024. So that means that there's a lot of planning that was done to, for that one spot, and that would have been a perfect spot for the fire station. So, but anyway, Webster, any help you need from us, just let us know. Okay. And in Oak Park itself, I won't get too much into some things we're doing, but we're keeping an eye on the radio tower lot because we think that's next to go. If you remember, or if you know that down in Emerald Hills or in Encanto, they had, a really big, to-do about the high density that was initially planned for that. So we're expecting that the same actors, the whoever owns the radio tower lot, and then the developer, we think it's going to be repeated again. So that's where we're keeping an eye on that. And that's it. I'm not going to mention the trade winds. I think I mentioned that to people I mentioned it to our CRO already. So we're going to work with them, SDPD, to get information like calls for service and things like that, and see what kind of information we can get out of there. But that's, anyway, that's what's happening now in Oak Park. Andy, do you have anything on the library?
Thing to my knowledge.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Anything from El Cerrito?
Alex, do you have anything for El Cerrito?
Nope. Okay. Well, Rolando Park, we received 2 grants at the end of the year through groundwork application for us. So we actually got enough grant money because we weren't even planning on the second one to re-landscape the entrance at College and College Grove into Rolando Park. And the second grant is going to pay for a monument sign. So Vicky Estrada, who's the landscape architect, designed that space for us. It's going to be all native trees and shrubs, decomposed granite, some swales. It's going to look pretty cool. We just need the pop-up taco stand. It's there.
Yes, I was just gonna say, I was curious.
It was like disco the other night.
Yeah, but it's moving along. I think Leslie Reynolds met with the city. We've spent 2 years tracking down who could actually give us permission to landscape the city's own property. And so there's actually a department in the city that helps people who can't figure out how to muddle through with this to get these things done.
It's good to know.
So it is good to know. And so Leslie did find out who to connect with, and it involves not only getting a right of entry permit, but a legal agreement with the city to help them maintain their own property.
Who is that person?
It turns out it's owned by the transportation department, because we did find out through some history on it that the city originally tried to lease that tiny little spot in the 80s, and there were no takers. So it just became a right of way to be managed by the transportation department.
And that's the person that you contacted to get the monument sign designed?
No, that's another whole that
And
is
who's
another
that person?
process. This is just to do the landscaping. Because you have to have a right of entry just to go onto the property and do some work on it.
Who helped you with the designing and all that stuff?
Vicky Estrada from
Oh,
Estrada
good.
Landscaping, who's done, I don't know, 40 parks in San Diego.
She's good.
She's terrific, yeah.
We dealt with her, Oak Park's dealt with her numerous times.
Yeah, she's great. So that's it. Our end.
Yes,
Any,
say Lynn, I actually have a quick update now that I think about it.
okay,
Last night, our sister planning board, the College Area Community Planning Group, had a
mm-hmm,
meeting, and Nathan Cosman from the planning department presented an update to their community plan.
yes.
73 people were in attendance
Hmm.
last night.
Wow.
Nathan had 20 minutes. So there was a lot of concern about the developments and about the amount of density um, that I think the college area represents somewhere around 1%, 2% of the San Diego population. But the amount of housing they wanted would be upwards of 15 to 20% of all the housing in San Diego. So some people were very concerned that they're just loading too much density into the college area. So next month, the CACPG is going to devote the whole meeting to the community update plan because it has evoked such interest in the community and a lot of concern. So, and North El Cerrito, it's El Cerrito above El Cajon Boulevard, is in that planning group. Uh, and Laura and I live south of El Cajon, so we're in this planning group. But I know we're also sort of facing challenges with the mid-city communities plan update. So anyway, I'll just keep you all informed about what happens at the planning group next month. So that's it,
Is
really. That's the most important thing happening
okay.
that involves all of El Cerrito.
Thanks, Alex. Is Nathan coming to that meeting?
I'm not sure. I think so, but Tom Silva hasn't, it wasn't clear from the message he sent. But I assume he is. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless to have the community talking to themselves about what their concerns are if the
Yes,
city
exactly.
planning department isn't there. So yeah, Laura looks like she might want to say something.
Well,
Yeah.
I think in February, the college area goes to the planning commission as well with the considered what's the second draft.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think that Nathan is definitely probably going to be at that February meeting for the college area.
Yeah. And
And
one of
it
the
was,
one of the concerns too was the speed with which this last phase is being kind of pushed through. That has been kind of slow walked for a while, and so one of the concerns raised was there's just not enough time to digest a 80-90 page document that has lots of changes in it. So I think one of the concerns is that they're moving a little too fast here at the end phase, right? This has been years in process, and to push it through now, I think some of the community are concerned that it's just too rushed.
yeah, they released it last Thursday.
Right.
I saw it. I've already
So
read it.
it was the same day as our planning commission meeting. And so people haven't had a chance to go through it and digest it. And one thing that was mentioned by Nathan was that he is working with Alex or has been working with Alex. And they expect that the El Cerrito South side will mirror basically the El Cerrito North side.
Yeah. And
Oh.
the Alex isn't me, it's Alex Frost,
Yeah,
just in
I'm
case
sorry.
you were wondering. Yeah, I'm working behind the scenes with the planning department.
Sorry
Uh,
about that. That's right, Alex
Yeah,
Frost.
it's Alex Frost. Yeah, well, and that's what concerns those of us who live south of the boulevard, because when I saw some of the diagrams, it's pretty awful. Some of the how far into the single family residence land area that they're actually going. So, but south of El Cajon Boulevard is a lot different from north. North El Cajon, north of the boulevard is pretty flat for a long period. South of El Cajon Boulevard, it drops fast from El Cajon to Trojan to University. It's probably a 400, 500-foot drop. I mean, and so it can't quite be the same because you can't go, it's pretty shallow before you hit a lot of steep hillside. So we'll see what happens. But that's part of the concern is that we don't want this, at least I don't want the south of El Cajon Boulevard to mirror what's proposed for the north.
Okay. All right, thanks, Alex. We'll talk about it again, I'm sure. Let's move on. Parks and Recreation. Danielle, you still online?
Oh,
Still awake?
yes. I caught up on a few emails, actually sent you one during the meeting, Lynn. It was my comments about last night's, because I attended also to hear, especially about parks in the college area, because, Kalina Rec, CRG covers all of that also. So for my Parks and Rec update for the Eastern area, I would like to let everybody know that tomorrow the Kalina CRG is meeting, and our action item is the GDP update for Sunshine Berardini Park.
Yay.
It was supposed to be heard in November, but they needed a little more time, so we're hearing it tomorrow. On Thursday's Park and Rec Board, that's a midday meeting. You can zoom in if you want. There's going to be an update on brush management. The hot topic for Southern California, pun intended. So the last update I have is that our Little League season for Choice Lake Little League will be starting soon. Our team announcement day is the first Saturday of February, and we have quite a few little ones signed up to play baseball.
That's it?
Unless somebody has questions.
Questions? Nope. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. See you tomorrow.
Yep, see you tomorrow. Laura, I don't think CPC met in December, right?
No, we met in November, though.
Yeah, and yep.
Yeah, we talked about, we had a presentation on the Coastal Resilience Master Plan, and it was quick, and a lot of it has to do with the water rising in the bay and all the other different things going on in the city. And people did bring up the problem with too many big, tall buildings, especially now the ones that are right there in the coastal area, and how they're even getting through with all the coastal commission and different things. But apparently, I think it's called the Turquoise Tower, is a big problem. And they also talked about needing more trees, and how they have access. They're going to be making sure that we still have access to our beaches. They want to be able to have the future in the sand slope that they devise. And then they want to have the brush area and then the parking on the other side. So it'll still be accessible, and then down, and that's for La Jolla down to Mission Bay. And then for the part in Ocean Beach, where it goes to Sunset Cliffs and everything, they're going to still have parking. It'll probably be angled parking, get more trees in. They keep having sand wash away, but apparently every time they try and capture sand at one beach, it causes loss of sand at another, but that's an ongoing problem for forever. And so they have to try and work out how to get all the sand to be stable, especially Sunset Cliffs area, all of the cliffs areas, but most of them have more beach than Sunset Cliffs. So it was interesting presentation. And then we have a subcommittee for the Land Development Code update. And there was brought up that we should request CPGs, the CPC should let CPGs request up to, they were thinking $2,000 to per year to fund different things that we need, because some people need to pay rent and some people need to get equipment like Lynn already lets us all use, different things like that. And I mentioned it to Lynn, and Lynn said, well, it should probably be less. And and also for, we all have to have our websites now, and websites are expensive. And Lynn said there are ways to bundle these websites and different things. So she has a much better idea, which I'm taking back to the CPGs this month, because we want to get approved. We don't want them to have us we don't want them to just shoot us out of the water and say no, especially with all the budget concerns now. So Lynn has some great ideas, and I'm taking it back to the board. We also had something that was added to the agenda that's not on here, and that was the, I think they call it Choice Valley now. it used to be Encanto Planning Group. And they had some lots that were designated one particular zone that no other area in the entire city has. And they got a footnote on the last plan update and went from zoning for like single family residential up to 6 units per acre or something like that. It maxed out all of it. And then they've gone to the city and explained their problem with this area being developed like they are. It's one of the last areas they have. And in their update plan, they even considered the fact that it could maybe be used for a park, but it's actually been bought since by this developer. The Planning Commission agreed with them that it was a gross error and that it should not be zoned like it is. But that sense. At the meeting, we just approved and supported all their objections and got a letter together for them for the Planning Commission meeting.
Yeah, the planning commission voted to move it forward. It will
Yep.
be heard at city council later this month.
Right.
I think the 26th.
And the owner's probably going to sue the city depending on the outcome, but.
Excuse me, Lynn, this is Danielle. I think the meeting is on the 28th.
It is.
To
Yeah.
hear of the footnote 7, round
Yes.
2, I guess, round 2, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
it is, Danielle. Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle. Okay. Mid-city community plan update. I was the December 11th. Was anyone else online?
Oh, I was there in person.
No, not on the 11th because it was a Zoom meeting.
Oh, the Zoom meeting. Yeah, I was in there.
Okay. Yeah, they released the historical context document, which if you don't want to read the full version of the history of San Diego, it's a quick read about the development of the mid-city area and particularly about the architecture here and what's unique about it. So I highly recommend it. Next meeting will be in March, the 19th, I believe, and this will be a hybrid meeting. Location is still TBD. I did recommend that they look at Teen Challenge. This is a good location for all 4 planning groups to meet here, but I'll keep you updated. They did also present last week. Alex Ross presented at the Planning Commission meeting. And again, it was just interesting to hear the city planning perspective on the work they've done presented to the Planning Commission. I was surprised to see that the planning commissioners were pushed back a little bit about infill into communities that they see, as we've been saying, the place to put the density is on the transit corridors. And I think the commissioners pretty much agreed. I think Ken Malbrough and the vice chair, I think.
Bonhomer or something like that. Yeah, he's got quite a big name.
Sort of agreed with that, which I think, how much can you infill in our communities at this point? But there's lots of room on the transit corridors. And in order to achieve the other goals, like a mobility plan that works and getting people to take transit to work, they'll have to consider that. So
Lynn, if I could interject, there was also at that planning commission workshop, Neighbors for Better San Diego gave a presentation about the economic aspect of it that it's missing out of the mid-city community plan. There needs to be more economic revitalization, I guess is the good word to use. And David Modi gave another round of, using the wrong SANDAG data instead of using the 2020 census data.
Right. I did hear that. I also just wanted to say that we're sort of at a disadvantage here because they did ask Alex if they're talking to the bids, and the eastern area communities along University do not have a bid, and it's really a disadvantage to us because we don't have anyone talking to us about how to improve the business district, which would really